Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Snowy College Council meeting of the 28th of June. Just a reminder that these proceedings are filmed and are streamed, just so everybody knows. I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land and pay my respects to elders past and present. Apologies and leaves of absence. There are two there, someone remember? Councillor Lark, Councillor Weston. All in favour? Thank you. Any declarations of pecuniary interest? Declarations of interest?
Yes, Mr Mayor, non-pecuniary interest. My daughter uses the services of the childcare facility in relation to the terms and charges for fees.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. And you won't be leaving the room?
No.
Thank you. We have 4 speakers for the public forum. Each speaker will be given 5 minutes, and you'll be given a warning at 4 minutes when there's a minute to go. We'll call on Mr. Tony Butler, the More Progress Association.
Thank you, Mr Chair, on behalf of the Gilmore residents for allowing me to speak here this afternoon. Gilmore landholders and residents are not anti-rail trail development and agree that rail trails need to be built in the ideal location. The view has been supported by the member of Riverina, Mr Darryl Maguire, MP, and he stated, rail trails can be successful where communities are close together and have existing facilities such as wineries and bakeries, as they do along the Wangaratta Trail. 56 Gilmore Valley landholders and residents are directly affected and opposed to any proposed rail trail. The Destination Management Plan states, the DMP has been prepared in close consultation with the local tourism industry and stakeholder groups. Gilmore Valley landholders are major stakeholders in this development management plan. They have not been consulted directly about our concerns. The Tumut Economic Profile of 2015 identified that the economy of Tumut sub-region, which was formerly the Tumut Shire, is driven mainly by agriculture and forestry. A considerable amount of revenue to enhance the local economy. That's a major stakeholder. New South Wales Farmers Association chairperson for the Wagga Wagga branch stated, a rail trail is an additional entry point to every property. This creates a serious concern for biosecurity, privacy and the control of pests. Landholders have a responsibility to manage biosecurity risks identified in the Biosecurity Act of 2015, from animal and plant pests and diseases, weeds and contaminants. A rail trail, however, through properties, creates added risk to the introduction of these issues. The new biosecurity laws requires landholders to log who's traversing the property. This creates a difficult measure to implement on properties with rail trails. Any event or leisure activity needs to have a pleasurable and enjoyable experience. Attributes for successful rail trails include wineries, villages or towns every 10 to 15 kilometres, and community support, particularly including landholders. On the other hand, the Gilmore Valley has no rail trail attributes, instead a steep incline, many washouts, little shade, isolation and of course no landholder support. That's not a very pleasant experience. We have many concerns about the longevity of the proposed project. Building something, spending millions of dollars, and then expecting people to come. What happens in 15 years' time? Only this week, a report has occurred or appeared in the Geelong Advertiser, and it's titled, Old Beachy Rail Trail in Disgraceful Condition. Advocates argue. This rail trail opened in 2005 and is currently about 13 years of age. It is 50 kilometres walking and cycling trail from Colac to Beach Forest. The report states, disgraceful condition, needs serious investment. Advocates argue, there was a feeling that the money had been wasted. Dilapidated sections of the trail needing to be rebuilt. Weeds overgrown so high that the trail could not be seen by some parts. And parts of the track had washed away. And the Tumor Tobacco branch line in parts is inaccessible and vulnerable to washouts. Do we really want this to occur if a rail trail is to go ahead in the Snowy Valleys Council? The uniqueness of attractions ensures their success. This does not mean that when we can replicate these attractions in our backyard. The draft designation management plan does suggest that the region already has a number of cycling benches, including the road cycling and mountain biking, the Tumbarumba pump track, the human hobble track mountain bike project. Use these resources to improve and promote these attractions and make them unique to our region. Mr. Chair, the good people of the Gilmore Valley have chosen to make the valley their home, their rural business, and their way of life. Residents and landholders do not have to make cups of coffee and sell jams to ensure their livelihood.
Thank you, Mr. Butler.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Jonathan Caffrey. Once again, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. On behalf of the Gilmore Progress Association. We all know the core goal of any DMP is to identify strengths and recommend a path to boost tourism and preferably promote the unique experience. We would like to point out the urban enterprise DMP offers nothing new for Tumut because the vision is Murray tourism based and typically tied to Albury. We also believe millions of dollars allocated in the DMP are designed to cosy up the disaffected voters in Tumbarumba, Batlow and Adelon. Gilmore and Tumut are thrown under the bus with nothing other than rail trails. Rail trails are not used by the majority of cyclists. The rail trail is not supported by the Tumut Regional Chamber of Commerce or the Tumut Community Association. The rail trail is not supported by the Tumut Mountain Bike Club. Audax cyclists do not use rail trails. Mountain bikers don't want rail trails. Walkers prefer natural bushlands, rivers and streams. A rail trail through the Gilmore would be the worst trail experience in Australia. Not a trail but an obstacle course, with well over 100 stock crossings and household driveways and roads to negotiate. The New South Wales State Government wants to close disused rail corridors and shift responsibility and maintenance to local ratepayers in a politically acceptable way. It's a waste of millions of dollars to attract less than 1% of all tourists that ride rail trails. Also, the official rail trail counters in Victoria show the majority of rail users only use the first 8 to 10 k's of rail trails or only as far as the local wineries or coffee shops. It's basically wrong to ask farmers and industry to increase their business risk factors when rail trails are nothing more than advertising tokens. TRC Consulting of Jindabyne is working with the Council on a mountain bike master plan, looking at just over 70 k's of the human hobble track between Talbingo and Manus Lake, leaving Tumut out of it and well short of any of the tourism benefits. Why go to Manus Lake and leave out Lowering Dam? The Snowy Valley Council's human hobble mountain bike and walking track option is only half-hearted. Our GPA committee think everybody is missing out on a great opportunity to link Talbingo, Tumut, Batlow and Tumbarumba in a world-class trail. The popular Tumut River Walk ride should extend to the junction and then on to Lowering Dam Wharf. Brandy Mary's at the dam would be made the trackhead for people and then join the human hobble track and then go around to Lowering to Talbingo. Lowering Dam to Talbingo. The Gilmore Progress Association is supported by the New South Wales Farmers Association, the member for Wagga, Mr Darryl Maguire MP, the Shooters, Fishers and Farmers Party, all 56 landholders that are joining the railway between Gilmore and Batlow, and thousands of residents who think the rails are a waste of money. I'd like to draw to your attention that the Local Government Act 1993, Section 372, A resolution passed by a council may not be altered or rescinded except by a motion to the effect of which notice has been duly given in accordance with regulations made under section 360. Councillors should be aware of the Tumut Shire Council Resolution 23rd of February 2016. 75 resolved that Tumut Shire Council support the Gilmore Progress Association in its position on rail trails in the Gilmore Valley. This resolution will now govern Council's strategic consideration of the proposed project. Signed by Mr R.K. Stewart, General Manager. The New South Wales Governor's Proclamation, Local Government Council Amalgamations. Please consider Club Subclause 19, Codes, Plans, Strategies and Policies. The codes, plans, strategies and policies of the new council are to be, as far as practical, a composite of the codes, plans, strategies and policies of each former council. At the GPA last Wednesday, a motion was unanimously carried for the presentation to the councillors that the Snowy Valley Council uphold the Tumut Shire Council resolution supporting the Gilmore Progress Association in its position on rail trails in the Gilmore Valley and remove the reference to rail trails in the Snowy Valley Destination Management Plan other than the Tumut to Rosewood Rail Trail. The GPA asks the council to consider the intention of subclause 19 and vote to support the residents of the Gilmore accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tony Beckett.
Mayor James, General Manager Matt, councillors. My name is Tony Beckett and I'm here speaking on behalf of the Tumbarumba Chamber of Commerce in relation to Management Report 10.2, adoption of the DMP, specifically its reference to the Tumut Batlow Rail Trail. The potential economic and social benefits of rail trails are well established. The community's desire for cycling infrastructure and rail trails is documented in the Community Strategic Plan. Establishing the Snowy Valleys region as a premier cycling destination is the second strategic development theme listed in the Destination Management Plan. Thus, cycle tourism is firmly in the strategic documents as an aspiration of the community. The draft Destination Management Plan provides a clear vision and strong strategic framework for the destination development of the whole region. We congratulate those involved in the compilation of this document. However, the original draft recommended developing a feasibility study and master plan for the Tumut Batlow Rail Trail project. This is now delayed. We believe all recommended opportunities for developing a premier cycling destination should be enthusiastically investigated by Council, particularly the Tumut Batlow Rail Trail, which has real game-changer potential for establishing Snowy Valleys Council as a cycling destination. The development of a feasibility study and master plan document would provide Council with better information on which to make an informed decision about the project in the future. It does not commit Council to building the rail trail or anything else. The Chamber expects Council will exercise due diligence and base decisions to support the project on whether it will deliver a net benefit to the community and ensure it will not burden ratepayers with unsustainable ongoing costs. The feasibility and master plan documents are needed for such analysis. We also hope that Council will apply these criteria and scrutiny to all projects it considers, such as heated pools and indoor recreation centres. Hundreds of people from across the whole Shire have given their time attending consultations, reading draft documents, numbering hundreds of pages no less, and providing considered feedback to make these strategic documents the best guide for the direction of Council. Rail trails are strongly supported. Is Council prepared to ignore their input? Is it really necessary to wait for up to 4 years to assess a tourism enterprise that has been demonstrably successful for over 20 years in every other state, while at the same time frustrating the hopes and aspirations of the people of Batlow and the wider community? The Chamber calls on Council to recognise the strong public support and to give its in-principle support to the Tumut Batlow Rail Trail. Thank you.
Mr. Wilson?
We'll get around there. We won't start the times when we get around here, Pete. Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Mayor James Haynes, General Manager Matt and Councillors. My name is Keith Dawson and I'm speaking to you this afternoon on behalf of the Battler community and as the Vice Chair of the Battler Development League in relation to recommendation 2 in Management Report 10.2 in the business paper. The people of Battler are alarmed and dismayed at the recommendation that Council not commit to any funding or resources to advise the Tumut Rail Trail and to advance the Tumut Rail Trail until a review to determine the success of the Tumbarumba to Rosewood Trail is undertaken within 12 months of its official opening. From our perspective, it is difficult to understand the origins of this proposed amendment to the draft plan. It certainly didn't come from us nor the people we speak to. Further to that, no explanation or reason for this modification has been stated. The support in Battler for the Tumut Battler Rail Trail is overwhelming. The Battler Development League at its April meeting put the following recommendation to Council. The Battler Development League is in full support of the 32-kilometre rail trail from Tumut to Battler and recommends Snowy Valley's Council undertake immediate investigation to determine the feasibility, design and cost to build. And at its main meeting, put the following recommendation to Council. The Battler Development League fully endorses the proposal relating to Battler in the draft destination management plan and recommends they remain as stated in the final plan. We also recommend that the DMP should include horse riding and equine events, pursuits, linkages with large business, government departments and similar organisations that are significant stakeholders in our region be developed to include interpretive centres for tourism. These recommendations that have been tabled at council meetings need to be seriously considered and not just noted. Any delay in advancing the Tumut Battler Rail Trail would be a lost opportunity, especially given the state government's support for these trails being established. A delay could result in missed funding opportunities and eventually lost tourism. As stated by the TBRT committee, no funding is being sought from council, just council support. The preparation of a shovel-ready project is urgent to attract current funding possibilities and to resolve any concerns that landowners and community may have. Proper process has been followed to this point. The people's wishes have been ambiguously identified in the consultation process as recognised by the draft destination management plan. To do otherwise than to support this project as stated in the previous draft DMP, which went to public exhibition, is to ignore the recommendations of the professional consultants contacted out of the public purse and disrespect the strong public support for the project. On behalf of my community, I call on Council to truly reflect the will of the people and support this project by rejecting recommendation number 2.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank all the speakers. It's not easy being out here. If any of the speakers would like to leave any documentation with us, take that on board. Thank you. Moving on, confirmation of the minutes of the meeting 24th of May. Mover, Councillor Disselman, Councillor Lara. Business arising, no? No business arising? No? Accept those, all in favour? Against? Carried. Okay. No correspondence or notice of motion of decision, no. I'd just like to move, given the amount of people in the room, I'd just like to move that Council change the order of business and bring forward items 9.2, 10.1, 9.8, 10.2. I'll move that. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Ham. All in favour? Harold. This takes us to 9.2, Chimmet Rail Trail petition in support of project. Page 27. Recommendation on page 27 is that Council receive the petition received by the General Manager on May 22, consider the community's input as part of the Council's strategic documentation, write to the first petitioner signatory advising of Council's resolution, and develop a petitions policy and guidelines for SVC. Do I have a move of Councillor Ham? Councillor Essendon. Speaker 4, Councillor Ham.
I'd like to, there's 1,500 residents who have signed this. I have signed it. So I would like to support this petition to be received. And, yeah, Council support.
Speaker against? Anything further, Councillor Ham? I'll put the motion, all in favour? It's carried. 10.1, page 57. Yeah, we can just bear with us, we're jumping around a little bit. Adoption of the draft integrated planning and reporting suite of documents. Recommendation on page 57 is following the public exhibition period, Council adopts the attached integrated planning and reporting strategies and plans. As there.
Just a couple of changes there. That following public exhibition period, Council adopts the attached integrated planning and reporting strategies and plans. Snowy Valley's 2028 Community Strategic Plan, the Delivery Program 2018-2021, the 2018-19 Operational Plan and 2018-19 Fees and Charges. The Resourcing Strategy documents, including the Draft Long-Term Financial Plan 2018-2028, incorporating the 2018-2019 Operating Budget. Draft Strategic Asset Management Plan 2018-2028 and the Draft Workforce Management Plan with the following changes, and I'd ask the Director Harvey to outline those.
Yes, through the Chair. Could I just note that there are some changes to the fees and charges document. Pages 42 to 44 remove the swimming pool fees. That's because they're actually out on public exhibition at the moment, and that item will come to the July Council meeting for finalisation decision. Page 45, we need the car parking contribution of $9,910 as the plan is repealed. And then we would like to amend pages 47 and 51, remove vacant land sewerage charge for Tumbarumba and Cancun, and vacant land border access charge for Cancun and Tumbarumba. And page 52, remove raw water, Cancoat, Engine Boat, Rosewood, Tumbarumba.
And part 2 of that suitable reply be forwarded, thanking the community members for the submissions, and including a response to the issues raised.
So you're moving that way. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Wilson. Councillor Lyon.
Look, first and foremost, I'd like to thank the staff for the input and excellent work that they've done in relation to these plans. They're very, very detailed, and they're obviously very complex and time-consuming, and there's been a lot of commitment put into them by the staff, inside and outside of working hours. And I think it would be remiss of us not to recognise for their hard efforts, because they make us look very competent. By virtue of their they're very well put together. Thank you.
Councillor Lyon. Do you want to speak against? Any other speakers?
Second, Mr. Mayor, would we like to move to committee for anyone else to make just a general comment on this documents that we can see what we will have opportunity to say?
I think that would be a sensational idea. Would you like to move that way? Do you have a second? Move Councillor Lyon. All in favour? Carried. So, I'd like to start with would you like to?
Yeah, well, yes, I echo Councillor Bartlett's words that this is an amazing suite of documents. So much work has been put into it, and I commend the staff and directorate of the council that has put so much work into this. They have done an amazing job, and to do that in conjunction with all the other work that has had to be done, particularly following so closely on the amalgamation of the two former shires, it really is quite a remarkable piece of work, and I congratulate them on it. And as Councillor Lada said, it is an excellently put together document, very comprehensive, very thorough, and it gives us a wonderful roadmap for not only our term of council, but into the next decade, which we will be leaving as a heritage to the next council, and I think that that's going to be a wonderful start for them, and to continue on the work that has been begun during our term of council, and I commend it very highly.
Thank you for your generous words, Councillor.
Yeah, what can I say after that?
Well, it's difficult.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything that's said by John and all the great job. Thanks very much, staff. You've really done a really good job. I won't go on that long. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This suite of documents represents the significance of this council, and that we weren't merged, we were actually elected as a team. And we have promoted ourselves as that, and we see this suite of documents reflecting where we sit as the leaders of our community, and to take this community to a new horizon. And I think that's a really important feature that we need to represent. I also see that these documents will lead us to recognising changes in our demographics over the years as an ageing population, and the needs that will be placed on our health system and our employment system in the future. And these documents not only represent a reflection on that future development, but on future development in relation to economic development in all its levels. And I'm particularly pleased that the upgrade of the Brindabella Road has been recognised in its highest profile for the first time in nearly 150 years. So thank you very much to the staff for all the work they've done, and I recognise the leadership of Matthew as General Manager as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Councillor Hammond.
As a 9-month-old councillor, just like to thank you again, and I've just been watching the staff walk around with these huge piles of paper for quite some time, so I hope that stops. Look, for me, as a democratic process, I just thought it was really excellent, and the feedback, I was closely involved with one part of the fees and charges, which was not presented well. And it did go to a meeting and it was discussed, and just to see that process that, you know, we can actually be part of a community that can work through things has been really exciting. And also, as Cor alluded to, to have a long-term vision now, because certainly I arrived with all these great ideas, and now this is sort of like, let's consolidate and get some things done. So it's exciting. Thank you.
Councillor Larder, you just said. Councillor.
Well, I suppose an amalgamation completely, but I thought we went in the wrong direction. I think the government should have made it regional bodies, leading councils intact, yet sharing at a regional level many of our things, having one computer system, one operating system and the like, similar to the way that the library services, Riverina Regional Library, has been a terrific regional achievement. But having said that, we're stuck with what the government's given to us, and that's having the work wedded together. But it's turned out that instead of having two small councils, we've really moved from a small council to a major council, really intermediate on the state level. And this is reducing all this work that's made us a different team altogether. And the council has worked remarkably harmoniously, as far as I'm concerned. The staff has worked well together, and the councillors are all coming from different directions with different opinions and whatever. But we're all on the same sheet heading forwards. Richard, I believe we are a great new show.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Benjamin.
I'd just like to congratulate the staff on these suite of documents. It's fantastic to see it all unfold. I'm just happy to see it all starting to happen and going in the right direction through St Coast Council. So congratulations.
Look, Councillor Cross is an apology for this meeting, but she has sent through a document, and I'll just read it. She says, I would like to begin by commending council staff who put these documents together in such a short time. They've done a magnificent job. I'd also like to acknowledge the feedback from the community. This feedback will enable us to fine-tune our community engagement processes and ensure that we're on the right track, and I acknowledge that I fully endorse these documents. The IPNR documents reflect our community's vision for the Snowy Valleys Council for the next 10 years. We have the community strategic plan, the delivery plan, which is a 3-year plan, the operational plan, which runs annually, and the resourcing strategy to underpin these plans. These documents, with their 5 themes, are our blueprint and guide for all the decisions we as councillors must make on behalf of our communities. I look forward to working with council staff to turn these needs and wants into reality. In particular, I'm keen to focus on the Country University program and our Centre for Excellence to support our youth who wish to stay in our towns and villages, connectivity and using technology to improve and support the way we do things so that our rural and regional lifestyle becomes more attractive to those wishing to have a better quality of life in the country. Tourism ventures, particularly bike trails, including both mountain bike and more sedate bike trails for families, and how we can integrate technology to make these experiences more interactive and interesting. Renewable energy sources, and progressing the Brindabella Road. Councillor Cross is away. Personally, the thing that I was really pleased about was one of the first things we did as a council when we came in, which was to repeal the Section 94 roads contribution, and I think that's a very positive step forward, and I think we should further look at fine-tuning our development charges as well, so we can make this community something, a community where people want to come and visit and are comfortable to come and move their businesses too. So that was a big game changer for me, so I'm very pleased with that. So, any further comment? Someone like to move that we go to page 80? Councillor Lisson? Councillor Benjamin? All in favour? Thank you. So, we have the recommendation there. Move. Second. Councillor Larder's done that already. Right. Larder and this one. So, any further speakers? Put the motion all in favour. Carried. Thank you. Which takes us to 9.8.
.8 is the late report on the making of the rate, so that will go immediately following the adoption of RPMA. That's in your local reports, councillors. On page 2. Want me to read that out?
There's the recommendation on the screen. The council will make the rate using the following ad valorem amounts, including under section 548, the maximum amount to a minimum ordinary rate to be $536. So there's the recommendation. Move it, Councillor Ham. Councillor Lada. Discussion.
At this stage, I would like some clarification from maybe Sarah about this, if she can explain to me why the rates have to go up, and is it just the CPI or is there a rate variation? Or what?
Yeah, through the chair, I can explain that it is an iPart. It's due, to the iPart arrangement that it goes up 2.3%.
So this is across all New South Wales?
Yes.
Could you explain what iPart is, please?
Well, the iPart, I'll actually ask Sarah to expand on that if I may. She could probably explain their involvement a little bit more than I can.
That's the independent housing and regulatory document. So they're independent to the New South Wales document overall, and they set the increase every year for all New South Wales local government at the law increases.
Thank you. Councillor Ham, anything further? No. Any other speakers? Put the motion, all in favour? Yes, carried. Takes us to 10.2. Adoption of destination management plan and business services strategy.
Councillors, that's on page 103 of your documentation.
Does someone want to move the recommendation, or does someone want to move that we move into committee, or?
Yeah, we can go to committee first.
Isn't that a new recommendation second first?
Yes. So would you like to move the recommendation?
Yes, the recommendation is that council adopt the destination management plan and visitors services strategy as presented, subject to the following changes to the destination management plan. Page 3, a game changer projects changed from Tumut Indigenous Attraction to Brungle and Snowy Valleys Indigenous Attraction. And on page 6, section 9, theme 2, cycling changed the sentence to council would remain impartial to interested parties seeking funding for preparation of a detailed feasibility study and a subsequent master plan for the Tumut to Batlow rail corridor.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Do you have a seconder for that? Councillor Lada. Would someone like to move what we move into committee?
What should we, was the original recommendation moved and seconded before we amended it?
No.
So we need to,
No, through the chair, the recommendation is a staff recommendation. If the councillors choose to recommend something different immediately, then that just goes on the record of the minutes immediately. There's no need to adjust. It's only a staff recommendation, what's in the papers.
Draw your attention to the screen. It was just the
So that's what Councillor Schmidt has moved. Take out section 2.
Take out section 2, yeah.
Thanks, Councillor Whistleman. So that is a modification from what was the staff recommendation.
Again,
Yes.
can we move to committee, please?
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Councillor Ham, all in favour? Carried. In committee. Councillor Wilson.
I would like to first of all point out in my interpretation of this new wording that the word that is used there, which is most important to me, is the word impartial. The definition of the word impartial to me means unbiased, means neutral, means fair-minded, means just. So this is not suggesting that the initial concept of this particular point was lost, but that this was the intent of council along. Am I on the right one? Impartial? Is that where I saw it?
Yes.
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 Yeah. And it's important for us to recognise that that's what the consultation process there is to include. So I'm just making sure that we understand that that's the influence of this particular change. Also, the development management plan has such a strength in recognising so many other elements that are part of the development plan and destination management. And I'm really wish to point out that this is a living document, and it's to do with the future of our council. It's not a now or a yes, this is what we're going to do. It's a leading document to give us the future. I understand that it will be evaluated and revisited on an annual basis. Is that correct, through the chair?
Through the chair, yes, that can be reviewed as council wants to, but it's probably good to do that anyway.
Yes. So, having said that, I recognise that things such as our current movement to become part of the JO across the mountain over in Canberra will be part of the development of this project, and so this plan is a living document. It's not just something that will sit here now and that'll be it. So the word that I'm looking at here in relation to the change that's made on that section to be the word of impartial is important to me in the way I interpret what's happening in this particular document. Thank you.
And I'd just like to support Mark, particularly in the fact that it's an evolving document. I mean, ideally, in my mind, the pilot project gets going very, very quickly, and we do see some action, and we see that the rail trail gets up as soon as possible, and from that, other decisions can evolve. So I'm very happy with that.
And I'd like to add that I really believe that the Batlow-Tumut rail trails is really important for the Batlow people, because Batlow needs extra work, and the tourism opportunities are going to be great for it. I've always been a strong supporter of rail trails and the bicycle whole concept, and I think this continues with that whole concept.
Other speakers?
Yeah, I'll just add to that. I think it's fair that everyone knows, what your position is on items, and certainly I'm not a supporter of the Tumut to Batlow rail trail. I certainly think there are a number of issues with it that strikes it out as a viable project from my point of view. And first and foremost, I think it's the fact that the landholders are entitled to a level of commitment from the council and from the state government, and their efforts in providing the food base that we enjoy should not be undervalued. And I don't think that there's support, any support that's significant within that landholder group for this project. I think it's a distraction from us getting on with the business of looking at projects that will deliver for the Snowy Valleys region. We don't even have footpaths to the hospital. Roads are in disorder. were $6 million committed to a rail trail at Rosewood, which every councillor here is committed to. We don't know what the ongoing costs of that are going to be on the council with regard to long-term viability. We've got a document from the Tumbarumba Chamber of Commerce citing that they're concerned about a $150,000 deficit on the pool fee structure. I find that alarming when we don't even know what the ongoing costs of maintaining this this rail trail is going to be in the longer term. You know, especially in the Tumut to Batlow one, it's going to be horrendous. What the ongoing cost of the community will be, and the benefits I think are very limited on that project. There's certainly not the flora and fauna experience that you would get on the ones that are viable. And I don't think it's a point of difference for our community. I think we should be looking at other worthwhile projects like reports that are later on in the council documentation today, like the multi-purpose regional centre. You know, to me, that's going to provide far more benefit to a great deal more people than attracting people from Leichhardt to go up the Tumut to Batlow proposed rail trail. To me, it's not a significant enough project to warrant the impact that it will on the landholders, and I don't see it as being a viable project. You know, if we're worried about a $150,000 deficit on the pool over some fees, if that's what the Chamber of Commerce are really concerned about, then we need to have a long, hard look at the fee structure for the Rosewood rail trail. Do we put a toll booth in there? Because if we're going to have a user pay system everywhere else, then we might as well charge to go into the libraries and do every other asset we own. It's just ridiculous. So that's what my thoughts are.
Thank you, Councillor. Any others, please? No? Yes, Councillor Smith.
Yes, look, I appreciate all that's been said, and I appreciate the visitors that have come in today and the comments that they have made. In my mind, this was not about rail trails. This was about the destination management plan. This is a document that has provided this council with many, many opportunities, with a lot of scope and option to promote this shire and all its amazing and wonderful benefits. Now, as part of that, there has been a discussion about rail trails for a long time. When I was first approached to stand for council, that was the first question I was asked: am I in favour of rail trails? At that stage I knew nothing about the history, I knew nothing about the pros and cons. My comment was simply, if it's good for the community, then I'm certainly in favour of it. And when I was asked about this particular rail trail that was used in the wording here, it was about whether I supported the Tumut to Batlow rail trail, and my comment was, as long as it's not a problem for the local landowner, of course I'm in favour of it. And generally speaking, I am. However, there's got to be a feasibility study. Now, it seems to me that this is what has been asked of us, to to leave the door open for the feasibility study. There was an approach from the Chamber of Commerce in Tumbarumba and from the Batlow Development League about the wording, and some of that information that I was given turned out to be incorrect. Council staff had not done anything underhanded in changing the wording. They were following the normal procedure of providing advice to council, and that advice was that there's nothing for us to actually do. We're not asked to put anything in action. We're simply asked to leave the door open, and I believe that the change of wording that we have now does that. It was included in slightly different form in the original draft plan that was put out and that people commented on, And I think that we have very successfully come to a conclusion that should please everybody. So in those terms, again, I'm very pleased with the result, and I hope everybody in the room today is going to be able to be happy with that and work with that.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Councillor Pritchard.
Just a different take. It's sad that Margaret has to include the word impartial. We are all impartial. Otherwise, we have to declare any interest in our code of conduct, and anyone else outside here can charge us, have us up on a code of conduct, breach of code of conduct if they think we've got a vested interest. We are impartial. So I resent not what you're saying, but we've got to resent some of the information that's been going on Facebook and then the newspapers implying that there's some collusion and so forth. That's all I've got to say.
I'd just like to add to that too. I think some of the rubbish that's been on social media and in the media about, especially your leadership in regard to that, is grossly unfounded. I think a lot of it's defamatory. And I think this council is destined to spend close to nearly $7 million, I would estimate, in our term on cycling projects alone. So, I mean, for somebody to take, point you out as a target, as somebody who's not a supporter of cycling, is completely deluded.
Look, I'd just like to change track a little bit. Some of the projects that I think would be really fantastic for us is the Brindabella project, and we're moving further on that. Last week, Councillor Lard and I met with the Chief Minister of the ACT. We're meeting tomorrow morning with the Deputy Premier, and we're advancing that. So we hopefully we can get some further funds and get some more work done on that. I think in 6 years' time we've got the bicentenary of the human hover track. We need to be moving very, very strongly in that direction and taking advantage of that heritage project. Agritourism I see as a fantastic opportunity to take advantage of, as well as the Airbnb phenomenon. I think that'll help as well. I think we need to take advantage of the highways. The highways bring people through here. We've got to make them stop. Now, we tried that in Adelong by putting free Wi-Fi in there. And there's a proposal shortly coming to council. I hope that we take free Wi-Fi to all the towns. So all the towns have free Wi-Fi. And if we look at Councillor Cross's Smart Cities report, the smart poles in towns, I think that's probably the way to go. So people driving past, we need them to stop, those sort of things. Blowering Dam and the water speed record and all those beautiful area up there. The Sugar Pine Walk is fantastic. It just and there's talk about replanting it for future generations. I think that's very, very positive. Landers Falls, if anyone's been to Landers Falls, it's just the most sensational falls, and I doubt whether very many people have been there, but it's something in our council area, and it's an exciting thing. Riverfront activities in Tumut, Snowy 2.0, and Indigenous tourism, all things that we need to move on. So, I see people in the, as I was saying, people in the gallery shaking their heads. Well, this is our future, and this is what we have to move towards. Not just one thing, but a whole suite, as we've talked about numerous times.
Mr Mayor, I'd also like to comment that this document is not mandatory to us as a council. We have elected to make this document ourselves as a new council, underneath and representing the suite of documents that we're mandated to make. And I think it's very much a leadership point that we as a council have developed such a document. And that in itself is a very positive step to be taken and needs to be recognised.
Certainly we could not have done it and not had nearly as much pain.
Absolutely.
But we wouldn't have as much gain, because with a document like this we can certainly track money.
And once again too, it's back to the staff, because it's a fantastic document and it's a platform for us to be able to further some projects. Obviously not all of them will be successful, but it's an opportunity for us to take that document forward to state and federal governments and other stakeholders to try and get funding, and without the support and the efforts of the staff, once again, you know, we're not in a position to be able to do that. So it's so vitally important that they're recognised for what they do, because they're difficult to put together and they're very time consuming.
Thank you, Councillor. No one further? Someone like to move that we go back?
If I could, Mr. Mayor, before we go, I'd like to move a few amendments. Take out the word draft out of item 1, and also take out the page number references, because those items are raised multiple times in the report.
Yep.
So it's more in relation with the...
Okay.
I'm happy.
You right with that? Yep. And Councillor Lardy? Okay. Yep. Moving out of committee. Councillor Risselman. Councillor Larder. All in favour? Thank you. Okay. So, Councillor Schmidt and Councillor Larder, we have your recommendation there. Any further comments? Councillor Smith?
No, said it all, I think.
Thank you. Councillor Smith's closed debate. Put the motion, all in favour? Against? Carried. That's good. Thank you. Back to the start. And thanks everybody for coming on for those.
1.1 on page 18, councillors.
Thank you very much. Smart Communities Conference, this is Councillor Cross's report that I commented on earlier, and I'd certainly commend this report to anybody in the gallery who's interested. I suggest they have a look at it. And of course the councillors have all had a look at it. Councillor Ham, you're moving?
Yes, certainly.
And Councillor Risselman? Councillor Ham, any?
Well, Kate isn't here, and you can see from the report, I mean, she's incredible. She goes away and she really takes it in. This is a great report, and a lot of things I'm sure she will follow up. But one part that I did notice is that she met with Duncan Taylor with the university. Yeah, so you see. And that's a bit of a segue into last night. There was a meeting. I'd like to put a vote of thanks to people like Gabriel Cusack, Duncan Taylor, Dean Lynch, the head of Canberra University, and anyone else that I've forgotten, to come and give us support for such a great initiative. So, and all credit to Kate, who finds someone like that at a conference and manages to sit next to him and promote our cause.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful report that Kate's done, and just building on that, hopefully more detail, we'll read the Adelong Wi-Fi later, the Smarter Poles initiative in there, and speaking to Mr Christensen earlier, he advised that under that project with the smarter lights that they're being pre-built, perhaps for that technology. Maybe elaborate on that a little bit.
Through the chair, the REROC in conjunction with South East Rock is currently undertaking a feasibility study in regards to relamping all the lights within the rock areas with LED lights. Part of that project is also looking at uplifting those lights to have capabilities such as Wi-Fi distribution and a lot of the contents within Councillor Cross's Smart Communities, what can be leveraged off that type of technology.
Thank you, Mr Christensen. So, no further discussion? Councillor Ham, same closing? Put the motion, all in favour? Carried.
I think
Page 29. Page 29, 9.3, committee membership recruitment application approval for the Aerodrome Committee.
I'll move both those.
Thank you, Councillor Larder. Seconder, Councillor Benjamin. Councillor Larder, anything?
No, that just they're highly valued former members, and that they'd be able to provide a great deal of input into the aerodrome.
Thank you. Certainly an asset, both, all of them. Put the recommendation, all in favour? Against? Carried. 9.4, next page, 31. Same again, recommendation for the Railway Committee. Councillor Isselman, Councillor Ham, Councillor Isselman.
Accept the recommendation as read, please, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Put the recommendation, all in favour? Carried. 9.5, roads management policy adoption. So we've got Councillor Isselman and Councillor Smith. Councillor Isselman.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr Mayor. Just noting in the report, if I may, that there's a section there which mentions roadside. Can I see it? Driveway and roadside.
Yep.
I'd just like to have, there are in the actual document, a definition of what is referred to as the roadside shoulder, please. The shoulder of the road as a definition, please, because it seems to be so vague as to where the road is maintained and where the property starts and just where the shoulder is. So I need a definition.
So you need something like a glossary in the actual policy?
Yes, please.
Some sort of glossary. Is that possible?
There's a point 3 on page 37. There's definitions within the policy.
Page
37. There's definitions. Number 3. And it mentions their driveway, but it doesn't actually mention the shoulder.
Okay.
And how that actually occurs. So in those definitions, if I could just have.
So do we want to adopt this with the addition?
Please, if I could.
Even though you haven't seen the addition?
No, I haven't seen it.
through the chair, if you're not concerned about what the definition actually is, that you just want it defined in there, and
That's
you
right.
are happy for staff to develop that as per standard practice.
Absolutely, just so that standard practice and that particular vagary of the policy is amended, but I'm happy with the recommendation as it is.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. You're right with that, Councillor Smith?
Yes, I think it's a very wise move.
Thank you. Any further comment? Recommendations there. Put the recommendation all in favour. Against? Carried. Page 22. We've done 10.1. And 10.2 as well.
So 9.6.
9.6 on this sheet.
9.6 on page 52. Page 52, councillors.
Okay. Look, I hope very soon that this will be superseded anyway with the new Wi-Fi into all towns if we're successful with funding. But in the meantime, there's a recommendation there that we continue to fund the Wi-Fi free project, which we already fund in Batlow, Tumut and Tumbarumba.
Just so I can make sure that it is across all other villages, could I put a point 2 on that resolution? And
we could try.
Addition to consider Wi-Fi at other locations, please. Consider.
Yeah, look, yeah, which we are doing. Yes.
Yes, but.
So as a movie, you
consider Wi-Fi in
across the Snowy Valleys.
other locations across the Snowy Valleys.
Like Telbingo and Ginger.
And Batlow.
And Batlow. Batlow doesn't have it.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Councillor. So you're moving that.
Thank you.
we have a seconder? Councillor Wright. You're in. You're on the books. Councillor Isserman, would you like to speak?
Explanatory, thank you.
Any other speakers? Put the motion, all in favour? Carried. Thank you. Statement of investments. Councillor Ham, Councillor Lada.
I'd just like to, there's two things I'd like to say. One is for the last 3 or 4 meetings, we've, particularly Mr. Lada, has always said, you know, we've got so many different investments in different places, and this seems to be consolidated a lot more. So thank you very much to Finance Committee about doing that. And it, once again, just out of curiosity, I know that the two finance systems have joined together, and I'd be very curious to know how that's going, and is it making a difference, and we'll be able to get better reports shortly about the financial situation.
And through the chair, I can say that yes, our integrated business systems are now integrated across both offices. And although it's early days, it's working really well. There's an adjustment to make naturally, just with staff getting used to the new system. But it opens up opportunities for us to produce a whole range of reports across the whole council that we haven't, well, we've had difficulty doing up until now. So yeah, it's working really well.
Thank you, that's great. Well done.
Can I just request from an operational perspective that at some point in the future we get a bit of an analysis of the Treasury Corp funding, just to see where the trends have been in relation to the interest over the past 6-12 months, just so we can make decisions in the future about where we should or shouldn't lie those investments.
Yes, going through the chair, we're more than happy to provide a breakdown of the analysis of the past 6 months to show you the movements, because they do move, but yeah, good information.
Councillor Lada, we might do that at a workshop, so
yeah.
Any further? Put the motion, all in favour? Carried. Thank you. Regional Economic Development Strategy. This is the Reds. Councillor Smith. Councillor Isserman. Comment, Councillor Smith?
Yes, I think it's a pity the room is emptied out a little, because
106.
This reflects, again, vision for the future, and highlighting at the top of the list the Brindle Road upgrade, which is a vital link between here and the other side of the mountains, obviously, and that's a vital project in my view. I believe that will open up a lot of business opportunities, tourism opportunities, and so on. And there are quite a number of other very important projects listed there for consideration in the future. So I think that's an important document we should accept.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. I agree completely with you. Well put. Any further? Councillor Ham?
Just the power and gas upgrade for Tumbarumba, which is really exciting and very needed. But I'm also aware that there's, if we could just add to that, and other needed communities, because there are some other communities within the Snowy Valleys Council that certainly they need a bit of an upgrade of power, for example, Telby.
Yes. Yeah, is that right, Councillor Isserman?
Yes, thank you.
Councillor Smith? Yep. Councillor Smith? Yep.
Just regarding the Brindle Road, a subset of that should, I think, be to ensure that there's mobile phone coverage throughout the length of it for security purposes. If somebody breaks down, they're not isolated up there. Whether they, I think that should be.
What about E? Does the E cover that?
Covers that.
Have you been?
E.
E.
improved electronic communications.
Across the LGA.
Yeah, but that's a specific one. You won't get the numbers of work on the road if they're fearful of breaking down. It gives a lot of reassurance to the city folk.
We can, these will of course be expanded out,
Sure.
so we'll add them in.
I'm just making it. Just
Yeah,
a point.
very good point.
So, Mr Mayor, I wonder if I need to move to committee for this. I recognise that in this particular regional economic development strategy that there is a significant mention of growth of the age population in our area, and there's lots of graphs and lots of things to suggest that there's going to be an explosion of age population and household compositions of single people and couples only living, but that's not reflected in these aspirational infrastructure projects. And I have mentioned on a number of occasions I feel that aged care is a priority, is a potential economic development for our area, and particularly if the Brindabella Road upgrade occurs, then we have a greater access to potential investors for aged care in this district from Canberra. So I'm wondering if perhaps there could be an amendment to put in there or consider in the future for this particular strategy that aged care could be.
So do you want to go to committee?
Yes, please.
A second. Councillor Love, all in favour? We're in committee.
So just reiterating what I just said, there is a significant reference to aged care and the need for aged care population in this economic development strategy in graph form, and I felt that that's not recognised, then the potential for leverage in the future for economic growth on retirement population is an important part of the economic development we could be looking at with this particular strategy, and I'm just wondering if we could look at that as an inclusion.
Mr Cox, do you think that can be incorporated?
I could, Mr Mayor. Yeah, just for clarification, this is a regional economic development strategy. We still, in the coming months, you'll have a SBC, economic strategic document that will come forward that will actually, that's more of a localised type issue. This document is purposely created for funding, to obtain funding on state, from the state government on regional projects. So I think that would definitely fit, and it is a need, but it would fit better inside of our local policy on that.
Through the chair, if I could just expand, there's a little bit of confusion because we have a Snowy Valleys economic development strategy which we're working on, and at the same time our region is actually exactly the same area, but we take a different perspective on it rather than inwards looking or outwards looking about bringing people in. So this one's a regional one about bringing people into the area, and the economic development is as a regional complex, whereas the Snowy Valleys one, internal document, which will come up to council in the near future, is about what we do within our specific local government area. And I've probably just confused it even more.
Because I think I was sort of under the impression there, but we see a lot of people coming into Tumbarumba, I know, and Batlow, that are retirees and looking for, a better place to live. Rather than cities, and I think that's the sort of thing that we can really expand on. Is that what you were saying, Margaret? Like that we should be looking at that opportunity to bring them in, because they've got a bit of disposable income. Like have a look at Core.
I've already disposed of it. That's when we joined the council.
Okay. Anything further?
I think locally, like the Murray project, for instance. I mean that hasn't taken up all of its options in there, for example, from what I understand. But that was a significant project with a number of stages, including a pool and whatever. But I think because it's been underwhelmed with regard to intake, but that's been wound back a bit. So we probably need to speak to the stakeholders as well, people like Murray's, about what the requirements are now and possibly into the future as well.
It does say in the document that it's the vision for the region, which is our area, and if you could just bear with me, on page 41.
Page 41?
Yes. sorry, no, page 13, which is very far in, which is really good because I don't have to swipe so many times. There's a suggestion of,
I've got the wrong page.
but there's a suggestion that it's not, the flow chart, it's not representing Albury and Canberra. Flow chart's not there right now. And we're looking only at the Riverina, whereas Albury and Canberra are part of our region now, and I think we should be very careful that we don't, again, leave those out of the matrix of what we're looking at. So just making sure that this particular region is recognising that.
Okay. I mean, there are probably opportunities too that we need to look at, like at Batlow, for instance. You know, that's probably, instead of attracting people to Tumut, you know, for retirement, you know, we need to open up some land opportunities in places like Batlow, and we need to do that soon. You know, should have been done before, but it hasn't. So it needs to be put on the agenda because, you know, we need to open up some lifestyle blocks there so that people can, you know, retire to a beautiful place, whether it be Tumbarumba, Tumbarumba or
Tumbarumba's been fairly proactive and it's worked really well.
I'm sure if we marketed it properly,
yeah.
you know, we would get uptake on it. It's just a matter of us recognising what's available and putting it out on the market.
Mr. General Manager, comment.
Councillors, as a suggestion, we're adopting a lot and have adopted a lot of strategic documents today. I think things will become clearer when we workshop the Snowy Valleys Economic Development Strategy that's not regional. Can I suggest that all these documents are live documents, and after we do the Snowy Valleys Economic Development one, if we believe something needs to be added into the regional one at that point, we can certainly workshop that, bring this report back and do an amendment to this report at that time. You all make some very, very good points, but as a matter to move forwards, maybe that will help consolidate our thoughts after we do the local one.
If I may, just to add to what I said earlier, I should have mentioned in that the ones that I highlighted, the hospital here down in Tumut, the bringing that forward, and I know that's on the list there, and I know that's in all your minds as you deal with people in Canberra and so forth, but to highlight that as a very important issue with the upcoming Snowy 2 development.
Yes, and we'll advance that tomorrow when we meet as well. And of course, linked to that, of course, is the relocation of the ambulance station, even though it doesn't need to be in there, but it's intrinsically linked to it. Someone move we go back out of. Thank you, Councillor Isselman. Councillor Larter, all in favour? Okay. So we've got the recommendation there. Councillor Smith and Councillor Isselman. Any further?
No further.
Put the motion, all in favour? Carried. Neighbourhood Centre lease extension. Councillor Pritchard. Councillor Wright. Councillor Pritchard.
Well, it's just a wonderful organisation. It's been undervalued in our area and I support it completely.
Thank you, Councillor Pritchard. Further comment? Put the motion, all in favour? Carried. Tumut Multi-Purpose Centre feasibility study. Councillor Larder. Councillor Ham.
Can we go into committee?
You moving that way?
Yes.
Do we have a seconder? Does everybody agree? All in favour? We're in committee. Councillor Ham.
Oh, look, I look at this and just go, my gosh, you can see it, you can feel it, it'd be just absolutely fantastic, there's no doubt about it. I think that point number 3, during public consultation, provide clear supporting information on sustainability, quadruple bottom line of the project that is my concern. And look, I would love it and I would love a little bus going from Cancoban all the way up there, or some way to make it accessible for the whole Snowy Valleys Council. That is my dream. If we can make it happen, that bottom line with depreciation counted in can prove that it's a viable project, I will give it its support. At this stage, I can't.
I must agree that how are we going to pay for it? You know, without extra rates, everybody's going to have to pay a lot of extra rates to be able to finance it, and it worries me no end that we're going to have to increase rates to be able to pay for something like this. I think it's great that we put it up there for everybody to have a look at, but we've got to make sure that we put it up with what the implications are going to be to our ratepayers.
And I think implications is the main thing, and the main implication here that I see on page 115 is the, maybe we could get that on the screen, which is depreciation. And the depreciation is what ruins it in the end, you know, for $375,000 a year, you're depreciating it, which puts you in the negative. Now, if you're running a farm or a business,
any other business,
yeah, you would take that off your tax. We're going to pay tax, so you know, it's a liability. So, yeah.
It's something we've got to be mindful of. That's the main thing.
So it's okay.
Well, I think that the reality of that is, you know, it's going to cost $17 million plus, no doubt about it. And for this project to be successful, it's going to require the mayor, myself, and the general manager to be making representations in Canberra and the state government to get funding for this project. But that's the reality. You know, I think big business has got an opportunity to get involved, the likes of Visy and the Snowy Hydro Corporation, because I think that, you know, they to be honest, have a significant interest in building this regional centre. You know, they're obviously big organisations that are having an impact on our region, and you know, I think they have. They have and they have done, there's no doubt about that, a commitment towards our region, and you know, and I hope that they follow that through. They have done previously. We just hope that with such a significant opportunity that they see the value that the community will see in this as a regional project, because it certainly does have a lot of value to the community. And you know, Councillor Ann talks about the buses. You know, there's already the kids at Batlow that have got netball teams that play netball in Tumut every Saturday, and basketball teams and the like. They travel regionally to come to Tumut already. So, you know, I see Tumut as being the logical place to hold a regional centre of this magnitude. It's just going to require a lot of legwork from us to convince the politicians that it's needed. I personally think it is. I know that the community will probably have some concerns about aspects of it, but I think overwhelmingly there'll be support for it, especially the fact that we're encompassing all the sports. So we've got an outdoor hockey turf that can be used for outdoor soccer and also outdoor rugby league. It's a new type of turf, so it's not just able to be used for hockey. And predominantly, you know, in winter months we have issues with playing surfaces, so that does provide some benefit in that regard. It will enable us to play sports, you know, indoors in safety, in comfort, hold carnivals, and allow that centre to be used as a multi-purpose facility to host numerous events, to maybe incorporate some aspects of similar operation to the Sunshine Visy Care Centre, where we can maybe have offices in there for headspace, youth development, community nurses, specialties to be able to provide youth with assistance, tourism opportunities, cafes. I mean, it's a world-class facility in a country town, and you know, that's I think where we've got to be aiming for. And you know, I fully endorse it. It's got an indoor pool, it's got a hydrotherapy pool. It just ticks every box, and I recommend it. And I give you the commitment that as the deputy mayor, and I know the mayor is on board as well. We will do everything in our basket of tricks to get the politicians on board to support this project. I have concerns about the depreciation. I think there's opportunities around that we need to explore that I won't go into, but I think we can look at other options. But at the end of the day, if we were worried about depreciation, we wouldn't have built anything. And, you know, we have problems come up now where, you know, we look at the Batlow Literacy Institute, for instance, or other examples of buildings that were built in the past, and, you know, we whinge about the $5,000 we've got to pay to paint them. But, you know, that's what we did. And if we don't make those decisions like the people before us made to build significant infrastructure, we're not going to attract people here. And that's the reality. We need good health services, and it's disappointing that, you know, we didn't get the money for the hospital, but, you know, we're pretty confident that, you know, the local member is working really hard behind the scenes to get that, and I fully believe that. I know that he's committed to it, and that we will see something promising, hopefully in the future. And this is another world-class product that will bring benefit to the region.
Thank you, Councillor Wright.
Mr Mayor, if I may, this particular centre should be called, of course, the multi-purpose centre, not Tumbarumba multi-purpose centre.
Yes, it's a typo.
Thank you. And without the development of this particular feasibility study, which I might add has been going on for my lifetime in council, it's not something that's just happened with the new Snowy Valleys Council, it's been ongoing for a generation almost. This is something that finally has reached its feasibility and readiness for yourself and Mayor to go out and seek funding for it. So I think that's a really important point to make, that it's ready there to seek funding, and that's what we're about. And this long-term emergence of this particular aspirational position has been coming for a long time.
Councillor Smith.
I believe if we can pull this one off, it's going to help us to attract other businesses, motel, accommodation type businesses to the town, because we're going to get a lot more people using that centre and competitions and so forth. So it's going to have a flow-on effect.
Look, I'd agree. As a former CHS convener, I know that when carnivals come to town, they bring a lot of people, and I think with a facility like this, you could attract some quite major carnivals. So it's not a recommendation to go and start building. It's a recommendation, a feasibility study, etc. So
it's a very small point. I completely agree with what John and Margaret said. Support it completely. But what we should be doing is looking at public transport on Saturdays. The Country Link bus service does not run at all to our area on Saturdays. Presently it runs on the other 6 days, and it starts off at Tumbarumba, gets to Tumut at 11 a.m. and goes back from Tumut to Batlow, Tumbarumba at about 4 p.m. So there's 5 hours in the middle of the day. The kids can come down, if we had a Saturday link, they could come down to that area and have those 5 hours and pay their sport and get home again in public transport. So we've been banging on about this for years, but we have to get that fixed.
Thank you, Councillor. Good job. We go back. Councillor Listener. Councillor Benjamin. All in favour? Thank you. Okay, so Councillor Lada, did you want to?
I think I've said enough.
Anything further? So you've closed debate. I'll put the motion. All in favour? Carried. Thank you. Shimmer Aquatic Centre Master Plan Community Consultation. Once again going out to the community. Page 118.
122 on the screen.
I'll move the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Lally. Councillor Wright. Councillor Lally.
Yeah, essentially I recommend it. I mean, it's a master plan. It's not a commitment to build anything, and obviously we'll you know, but this will work symbiotically with the feasibility study from the multi-purpose regional centre. obviously if we think that that's a green light, then, you know, this would obviously take a back seat, or depending on how the multi-purpose centre ends up, you know, it may have aspects changed, you know, this may still be a viable option. So I think it's relevant to proceed with it as a master plan. We're committed to the upgrading of the stage 1 of the pool, and I think that's a commendable project. And I think once again, if we don't go down the multi-purpose regional hub, then this is a great option.
Okay. So thank you, Councillor Arter. So I'll put the recommendation, put the motion. All in favour? Carried. I'm up to page 142. Audit Risk and Improvement Committee meeting held on Wednesday the 9th of May. Councillor Ham, Councillor Lara.
I attended this meeting, and it was actually a really interesting meeting. There were some governance issues that were highlighted at it, and from there, I think these audit and also the merged financial reports that have come through and stuff. I think this audit and risk committee is going to become a lot more pertinent and a lot something to look forward to once a quarter, and it's quite pleasing to see there was a member of the public who has put their hand up to be on that committee to give another viewpoint. So yeah, I'd like to move the minutes.
Okay. Any other speech? Put the motion on in favour. Carried. Tumbarumba Youth Council meeting. Councillor Isselman, Councillor Wright. No recommendations other than we
I think there
received a note.
may have been a recommendation in there to minute a vote of thanks for. Is this where Evan?
Next one now, 11.4.
I've just got a bit excited.
Yeah. So I'll put the
Unlike me.
Put the recommendation. All in favour? Carried. Church Region Sports Committee meeting 5th of June. A few changes there. Councillor Benjamin. Councillor Lara. Councillor Benjamin, anything?
I attended that meeting last month. It was very positive. The committee did thank council for the $40,000 grants, and they have started and completed some of their projects, and they just wanted to thank council for ongoing support.
Thank you. Put the motion on favour.
I was just going to say, I know it will happen, but can we just ensure that the multi-purpose and the pool goes to that committee?
All in favour? Carried.
Sorry, mate, I just raised an issue there because I understand that in the minutes you were there and in the attendance you weren't there.
Sometimes you see me, sometimes.
That's what I thought. Just thought that might happen. It's wondered if you need to do amendment.
Yes, I was there. That can be amended. Thank you. Charlotte, Youth Council Committee meeting, Tumut. Councillor Ham.
Was there some, sorry, spoke out of turn. Were you there?
This is Councillor Cross's committee. Councillor Cross as well.
Okay.
Councillor Ham.
I'll second it.
Councillor Isselman. Councillor Ham.
As Kate is not here, I will say that from these minutes it was noted that Evan Saunders is standing down from this committee because he has another position within council, and just over and above all the time we just hear positive things about him. So if a vote of thanks for his role on this committee could be noted.
Could that be added to the recommendation? Councillor Isselman, you're happy with it?
Yes, thank you.
Anything further? Okay. All in favour? Thank you. Battler Development League meeting.
Yes, Mr Mayor, I move that we accept the minutes of the Battler Development League meeting held on the 6th of June.
Thank you. Second. Councillor Wright. Thank you, Chair. It's a bit like an option, isn't it?
Okay.
Thank you.
In discussion on it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Number 3, the support of refugees resettlement. I mean, this is going to happen. I mean, we're now supporting them openly, and they'll be knocking the doors, and here they are. Well, I notice we're going to have a workshop regarding the resettlement. So we have to think about what we're going to do if we do get refugees coming in. We can't just land them in the main street saying, right, away you go. You know, so do we look at buying a farm or
Look, I think we could learn a lot from Wagga's experience. And I think Albury, we should be liaising with them once we get word.
Well, we need to start thinking now, because whatever we've got in mind will take a while to get it implemented.
Could I just add to that, my thanks to the Battler Development League in noting and having read the minutes and giving that endorsement. It's very appreciated.
Would you like to have it as a workshop agenda item?
Yes, please.
Okay.
To ask the appropriate community bodies to be represented at that workshop, and to ask the relevant community bodies to be represented at that workshop. Who they may be, I'm not sure.
Well, maybe we could do the workshop first and then have a specific meeting regarding it.
Okay.
Through the Chair, Councillor Pritchard, we've already got that as a resolution when Councillor Ham and Councillor Smith went to the conference on that matter, and that workshop is listed.
Thank you.
So it might be best left to the next workshop that Councillor Ham can attend.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So we have the Battler Development League.
There is a further note here asking that the Batlow Road, part of the Batlow Master Plan redevelopment, the Batlow Road stage is rearranged to being the first stage instead of the third stage, and they say that as a higher priority than the other stages that have been identified. And in particular, they've noted the crossing from the senior citizens village across to the shopping centre as a very dangerous place. Trucks barrel down there at great speed with tons and tons of logs on board, and it's a bit difficult for them to stop, and sometimes some of the people with their little wheelie walkers and so forth find it a bit hard to stop as well. So that's the reason they want to just move it forward if they can.
Look, I'm comfortable with that recommendation. It says investigate, so I think that's fine. So that's good. Any further? So you're closing debate?
Yes.
Okay, I'll put the motion in favour. Carried.
And I was present at that meeting.
Thank you. That takes us. Got one further late report. Has everyone got a copy of that?
I'll move it.
Moving it. Do you have a seconder? Councillor Wright. This is a motion to set the fees for next year. Discussion? Councillor? No discussion? No. Put the motion. All in favour? Carried. Thank you. Now moving into confidential. Thank you very much everyone who attended today.
Councillors, in relation to item 12.1, compensation for third-party claimant, Council has resolved to delegate to the General Manager to make an operational decision on the third-party claimant compensation matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. General Manager. Thank you all for your attendance.
Congratulations on finishing before time.